hearings are just a couple of housekeeping items. I'd like to welcome Michael, if I get this wrong, let me know, Espejo to the Board of Appeals. Welcome.
Thank you.
Our newest member. And John has been made a full-time member. So congratulations, John.
Thank you.
And the other item is we'll be looking for a new clerk now that Rob has left. So if we have any nominations,
I'll nominate Mark Burke.
nomination for Mark. Second from anybody?
Second?
Made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, 5-0. I think that's it, so we can start on the hearings. Mark, can you read the first one of the
Yes,
entry? Record, please.
new hearing for Rahway Road, the petition of William Withcomb, property located at 20 Rahway Road on shown map number 16, parcel 136, Burlington Assessors Map. The applicant is seeking a variance to construct an open front porch addition. The addition is proposed to be 6 feet by 18.7 feet, requiring a variance due to the front setback being 121 feet from the existing house. And the town of Burlington's bylaws require front setbacks to be 25 feet. Article 5, Section 5.2.0.
All right, is the applicant here? You can come on up, introduce yourselves, and then give us a brief overview. Yeah, right there, yep. And just give us, introduce yourselves and give us a brief overview of the project and the reasons that you want to do it.
So I'm Brian Grislak, and this is my wife Melissa, and we're the property owners. Our contractor had filled out the original form. That's why you see Billy Wickham on there as the original contact. But so what we're trying to do is our front steps have fallen apart. We've lived in the house 14 years, so it's at that point where we're finally able to do some renovations. And front steps have crumbled, and so we decided, let's look into putting a small porch on there to first get the steps fixed, and second, stop, from having the rainwater and everything that destroyed the first steps come down on top of the second steps that we're gonna put in. So that's the main idea of the first idea with it. We also have aging relatives who live in the town who visit a lot, and it's only 2 stairs, so a railing isn't required, but for them, we want to put a railing in. So as part of the porch, we're putting in a railing so that they can get in and out of the house more safely. There's only 2 entrances for the house, the front door and the back door. We always use the front, the back's a little tougher to get to. So that's the main gist of what we're looking for the variance for, is to put this small porch on. Information to lay out if you have questions.
Yeah.
I have some pictures as well if you need them.
Sure, you can pass them around.
Sure.
Thank you.
And here's another shot. Plenty of pictures here. And some different angles from the road. One copy.
There's not enough we can share.
There we go. I wasted, ton of paper, so I might as well use it. There you go. There's a shot on the back as well.
All right, just so you're familiar with kind of how we go through these hearings, we'll go around and see what comments the boards have, and we'll ask questions, probably back and forth, and we'll give you, our thoughts on it and see where you're at with certain questions.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, you want to start?
Sure. So the 21 feet, is it from the, where's the property line? Is it the retaining wall, or is it beyond that?
From the road, I believe.
Okay. So,
No, sorry, I think the setback would be from the front lot line, and that looks like that's approximately where that retaining wall is. And it looks like the road, the pavement edge is probably 5 or 6 feet past that, it looks like. on the plan.
So from the street, it's,
Just to get an idea, so where you're starting the porch, is this gonna, are we looking at going, you know, where the door is and then this window?
Yeah, from the door to the side of that window.
Jim, anything else?
nope, I think I'm good.
Mark?
So what about this particular premises is unique, or is there, what we have to determine is that there's a hardship? And so, can you give me any sense for, is there anything unique about the property that would allow us to grant this variance?
The structure that we're looking to put up wouldn't obstruct the view of any of our neighbors. It's not going to be going out further than the current structure that's there now. As far
Yes.
as- go ahead.
What do you mean by that?
So the way that it is right now, there's the front steps, the stoop that's there now looks like it's actually beyond where it would be allowed to have a structure. I know steps might be something different, but the house is set further back itself. And then there's an overhang, the top of the house, you can kind of see at a different angle, it's more like a garrison where the house is set back here, but then it hangs out over the top like this.
Okay.
So it's only, I can't remember the exact, from what the actual stoop length is compared to what's there, what we're adding. Where is it? Yeah, the existing overhang, it's only like 2 more feet beyond that, I think.
How far beyond the walkway?
It's not beyond the walkway.
Doesn't go beyond the walkway.
And it's like where the stairs are now, it only goes about a foot beyond where the stairs end.
So do you have any plans, other than this plan of the proposed addition? Do you have any construction plans for the addition?
Yeah,
of the porch?
those, I think those should have been provided in the.
Yes, you should have
in
a
the
copy
packet.
of the proposed plans, should be included in your
Not the site plan, the building plans? Do you have
Right,
any
the
building
building
plans?
plans,
All right, we didn't-
I didn't get them in my package.
No, we didn't get
is
those.
that?
There's not unfinished rendering?
required? Because I gave all the required things,
It
but there
wasn't
were
one of
certain things that.
It's not a
Is
requirement.
there nothing, it's not a requirement, okay. Well, I can jump through my email and have it emailed in moments. Because I do have architectural drawings of what the porch is gonna look like.
Okay. We can come back to that, you know, there's gonna be other questions and comments, I'm sure. Mark, you have anything else right now? Brenda?
No, thank you.
John?
I do. I have a couple of questions. First of all, I didn't understand the word you just said about how this doesn't stick out only more than a foot. Your porch is gonna be 6 feet wide, correct?
Right,
So even though the bottom part of the house is in by what, 2 feet, foot and a half?
yeah, a couple,
Whatever the overhang is, let's just call it 2 feet for.
Right,
for-
right.
for talking. That's still 4 feet out past the stairs.
not past the stairs, because the stairs are only about 4 feet. And then it would be 2 feet beyond that.
It would be 4 feet beyond that, because if the stairs are 2 feet and the overhang is 2 feet, right?
The overhang hangs over the stairs. The stairs come out about 4 feet. From the house, so they're tucked underneath that overhang, so they only go out 2 feet beyond the overhang, so it would be 2 feet.
Was that second floor an addition?
Yes,
So that was, the house was a ranch once, and then you guys,
it was a ranch.
Did you do
and
that?
then- No,
so they must have a variance for that, because that's under the 25-foot setback. That's what these plan shows,
it must be.
right? So there must already be a variance for that. I think I'll wait and see what some of the neighbors have to say before I gotta work this out in my head some more still.
Sure.
Mike, any comments?
Nothing at this time.
I'm just gonna, I agree with John, I want to see what some of the abutters have to say, but just to kind of reiterate what Mark said here, just, you know, for you guys to think about a little bit. Typically, a variance, even for a setback, is, the rules that we have to go by is, looking for a hardship of the land or the structure. And right now, what we're kind of hearing is that you guys want to do this, not that it's the only way you can do the, you know, something, a necessity, something like that. So just, you know, maybe put a little bit more thought into that while you hear some more of the comments, and maybe there's a reason that this is the only way that this, something that you need to do is this is the only way to accomplish it.
Well, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we fix the steps, we would be going into the existing steps that were there before we moved into the house are going into the setback. So just to repair the stairs, we would have to apply for the variance just to even repair the steps. Am I wrong?
I think stairs are an exception from, as far, you know, as an.
They are. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, an exception from the setbacks as opposed to like a farmer's porch, which is just more of a structure than just a set of stairs would be. So that's where the difference lies between the two things. So again, just maybe put a little bit more thought into it. We might get to the point where we ask for the architecturals and take another look at that. So, for now, I'm gonna open it up to the public and see if we have any comments, and then we'll go back through the board again. Is anyone here to speak on this matter? Come up to the mic, introduce yourself, and just whatever you'd like to say.
Hey, John. My name is Brian Gilligan. I'm a neighbour around the corner. And I've talked to Brian about this, you know, coming up beforehand. What they're trying to do is just, you know, I don't think you explained it exactly, is this, the existing steps are in the variance. They're just replacing the existing steps, and I know, you know, putting a cover over it with 2 simple posts. I don't think it's gonna, you know, harm any of the neighborhood. They're on a dead-end street with no obstructions. They're the last house on the block. They're not gonna affect anyone's view around. And if, in my opinion, they're only beautiful in the neighborhood and not doing any harm.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Did you say what your address was? I didn't get that.
What's that?
Where do you live? You're in a butter?
Yeah.
Which one?
Winona Road.
Oh, you live down Winona, okay.
All right, I think we'll leave the public hearing open for now. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions or comments on this.
I'd like to see the plans
I have
before we.
them in my phone. Would that be appropriate if I pulled them up on my phone and showed them to you?
I think it would be hard for us to really get a sense for what those plans look like. I think it
Yeah.
might be better to.
Email them anywhere you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, if you email them to Joellen, we can take, I mean, we can always continue this to our next meeting, which is in a couple of weeks, so, you know, if we choose to do that, it'll be a couple more weeks.
Sure.
So that's something, you know, if we're gonna move forward, yeah, we would definitely wanna see that. Just, I'd like to comment on, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, on the abutter. To me, this is a little bit more than replacing the stairs and just putting a roof over it, like you're adding a whole farmer's porch to it. If you were staying very close to the footprint of the stairs and you just wanted to put a roof over that, to me, that would be a little bit more just a minor thing, and kind of the only way you could do something like that, but this is changing it, and, you know, the setbacks are there for a reason, to try to, you know, keep a flow off the street and things like that, so those are the types of things that we need to look at, with this type of thing, so, if we continue this, then that might be something to consider, when looking at this as well, and I'd have to look at the bylaw too, now that we've started talking about the difference between stairs and a farmer's porch, and I don't know if you guys want a farmer's porch as opposed to just an open porch, and I'm not sure if the open porch would then again be an exception. I'd have to look into the rules on that to be sure, but again, that might be something you guys want to look at. It just says alternatives, just to have things in the back of your mind, if we're gonna continue this, just as part of the discussion, that we're gonna, you know, try to move on, you know, one direction or the other with this. Does anyone have anything else, or do we want to continue this to?
I have a comment. Can I make a couple comments first,
Yep.
please? From my history and from being here before and having things like this come before us before, I'm sure I know that the stairs don't have any setback. If it doesn't have a roof on it.
Right.
There's no setback. As far as I know, they could put the stairs and they're right up, bring it right up to the street. There's, without a roof, there's no setback on it. That being one thing. So the stairs isn't really in the setback. I don't think, like, I'm not even paying attention to the stairs now because that doesn't make a difference. The problem here is you want to come down almost 21 feet. And there probably is no hardship ever for a farmer's porch, if you will. I mean, you could build a porch without a roof there without coming before this board, all right? However, in your opening statement, you did say, and this is just for you to think about because they brought it up a couple times to you, you did say how that front door is the main entrance in and out of that house. It's pretty much exposed to the element there and stuff, so, I mean, the roof, even if you were to come looking for a small A-frame roof, you'd still need a variance, so the length of the variance doesn't matter. You'd still need the A-frame, and I think that could warrant that, just because the back door is really unusable. You said nobody uses it, maybe you don't have access to it, whatever, would have to see that. But you could start thinking in those directions towards, if you needed something for hardship. I'd like to just share that, that's just the information I have on my head. I do still want to wait and see the final rendering of it as well, but,
Sure.
you know, that's it.
Thank you.
All right, does anyone else have any comments for tonight, or, someone want to make a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue the
Second.
hearing.
What's our next meeting, Joanne?
December 4th.
All right, motion is made and seconded to continue to our next meeting of December 4th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so I think you heard the comments.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We're in Florida on December 4th. We're gonna be flying back from Florida to Massachusetts on December 4th.
Okay,
We won't be here. I didn't realize the next meeting was
Yeah, I
on
was
December 4th.
just gonna
Would
say,
be the 18th then.
all right. Well, we'll just,
on the 18th.
we would just continue it again, Joellen, right? We don't need to really modify the motion.
No, we
Just-
just say we're continuing it to December 18th.
All right, motion to continue to December 18th then. So just in the meantime, you said you had the plan, so you can just email them to Joe Ellen. Put some thought into the comments that you heard about, you know, probably making a little bit more strong argument on the hardship and, you know, why you need this in this location and why it needs to be into the setback. And then we can take another look at it at our December 18th meeting.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, they told me to hang on to them in case
Yeah.
people don't pick it up. Sure. Yeah.
The next item on our agenda is variance, sign special permit for Cambridge Street. Brenda, can you read that in for us, please?
Sure. The petition of Peter Chantilly for property located at 78 Cambridge Street, shown on map 41, parcel 95, as shown on the Burlington Assessor's maps. The applicant is seeking a special sign permit to install a freestanding directory sign proposed to be 4 feet by 4.58 feet, located in the front right southerly side corner to read 78 Cambridge Street. The said sign is to be less than 10 feet from the front property line. The sign is in violation of Burlington zoning bylaw, Article 13, Section 13.1.4.6.1. In short, states, no freestanding sign shall be less than 10 feet from any property line, as shown on plans filed on October 11, 2018, and a copy of which is on file with the town clerk's office.
Hello. Hi. Why don't you introduce yourself and give us an overview of your project?
Sure. Peter Chantillis. I'm here representing the owner of 78 Cambridge Street. If you're not familiar, 78 Cambridge Street is a commercial building right off of 128, adjacent to the Mercedes dealership.
Okay.
Very small building, and we're looking to add a street sign. Mainly the hardship is people are delivery trucks, Uber drivers, whoever are basically missing the building, and they often end up at the Mercedes dealership, kind of disrupting their business. They're also creating traffic flow issues because they have to turn around. So the goal here is to kind of solve a problem and add a sign that says 78 Cambridge Street. I think you have the packet in front of you. I threw a couple of pictures in there. The owner is really committed into beautifying that building and that space. And there's a before picture here that was taken a couple of years ago. It was pretty run down. The next picture shows kind of what the landscaping looks like. The owner has invested a lot of money in a new lawn, landscaping, repaved the driveway, put some stone around this. There's an island in right off the street, and put a stone veneer around that, beautified that island. And the island is actually where we believe is an ideal location for the street sign. We've looked at several other alternatives, which I'll cover. Any questions at this point?
Not at this point. We'll ask the board members if they have questions or comments, and
I can keep going here.
if you want to, if you have more information to give us.
Yeah, I have more information.
Okay.
So, just to walk through the application here, there's a plot plan. So the violation, the bylaw states that a sign needs to be 10 feet off of the property line. The property line is about 4 feet, 4 or 5 feet from the curb. What we're proposing is a sign in the island that's 10 feet off of the curb, but not 10 feet off the property line. So if we follow the bylaws literally, then we would be violating that rule. So that's what this plot plan is showing. Y'all have, assume you have that, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. The next page shows a Photoshop version of the sign in the island, rough, 10 feet from the curb, about 6 feet from the 6 feet or so from the property line in. We think this is an ideal location. It's integrated within the landscaping that's on the property, the island. It's visible. It doesn't create any obstructions. It doesn't cause any complications with snow plowing. In our opinion, it's visually pleasing. If you go to the next next page, I took a picture of, to see if there's any obstruction to a driver exiting the property, any safety concerns, because we don't want to create a problem here by adding the sign. So this is a photo taken from the driveway. There are actually two it's kind of a U-shaped parking lot. You can come in and out two different spots. Most people go out the other location, but from this location, you can see that there's really no obstruction. You can see down the road. The next slide shows an alternative location, which is actually what the building department proposed back to us, which meets the requirement of being at least 10 feet off of the property line. It's actually probably closer to, probably closer to 20 feet off the property line, because if the sign doesn't go on the island, it has to go on the other side of the path, which kind of pushes it another 10 feet out. We don't believe this is a good location. It's kind of it's a random freestanding sign, not really integrated within the property. It's not as visible, so, cars coming off of 128 are moving pretty quick. Their eyes will tend to go to the Mercedes sign over here, and they'll miss it. Our feeling is that the people will miss it. It's kind of random. It creates a problem with snow plowing, because that's where the plows put the snow. So we don't think it's a great spot for it. If you take this slide here, which I think is my last slide, is a picture taken down the road, kind of emulating a car what the car would see. That sign, if it's placed on the other side of the path, is especially in the summertime, is screened by the trees. So an oncoming car will basically miss the sign, and really the problem isn't solved. So, and then the last few slides are some designs.
All right, Mike, any comments?
I don't have any comments.
John?
What does the company do?
Well, the owner that owns the building rents it out.
Oh, so it's a bunch of different.
Rents it out
bunch of different places.
to a medical device company.
Well, okay, so my comments are, I'm buying all your arguments. I like the look of the sign, but I don't like all that empty space on the sign. So, I'm afraid that eventually they're gonna wanna put 5 or 6 different names on that sign for the company names. So, I would like to see, if it was just me, I would agree to the location in the island, but I'd like to see the sign a bit smaller. You don't need all that space on the top or the bottom. If you're only putting 78 Cambridge Street on it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where my head's at right now.
Yeah, it's,
It's 4 feet wide.
what we're actually thinking about is something that's closer to 3, the actual design.
It's the empty space that I'm not crazy about, because I'm afraid of what'll come down the road.
Yeah. There isn't, first of all, the building is very small. It's a 3,000 square foot building. It wouldn't have multiple tenants in that.
Well, even if,
It's not practical, yeah.
okay.
This may look large, but it's really, it's 3 feet wide. It's about this tall and 3 feet wide. So you have to make the letters, the numbers, are probably only about this big. So it's not, I know the rendering may look. Do you think we should fill the space with larger letters, or?
No, I was looking for smaller is what I was trying to get to.
Just a smaller sign?
I was just thinking of getting rid of that extra space on the top and the bottom of it.
Sorry, John, can I just, along your point there?
Sure.
you submitted two concepts, concept one and concept two. Which one are you really leaning to, so we kind of know what we're trying to talk about here?
Dimensionally, as far as the space that they take,
Yeah.
they're the same.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand that.
And it's also what is rendered in the Photoshop to scale, so that's,
Well, one looks like it has a frame around it, and the other one just looks like it has.
I personally like the one with the frame around it, with the borders on the top and the bottom, but I guess it's whatever.
I guess the reason I was asking that is if you look at concept one, going to John's point, is that the one with the border, the space above and the space below could potentially be eliminated. That's the kind of extra space that I think John's talking about there.
That is the space, that's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what I'm talking
so.
about.
And make it, and you're saying make it smaller.
You could just make it smaller, just, yeah, like John said, so nothing, potentially someone's gonna come back and wanna add something to it later, which we could restrict either way, but.
Well, we would have that, we would do that anyway.
Yeah,
so
right,
we would-
right.
we would think, but I'm just, but now that I'm looking at it like that, and as I see it, I like that too now. I just want to, I would like concept one, just a little bit smaller if you could. I was just afraid of that, I'm afraid of all that extra space. Not that there's a lot of it there, but I was afraid,
talking-
if there's multiple tenants, I figured sooner or later they're gonna come out looking for signage on.
It's a small building. I mean, this is literally, I think we're talking about 2 inches here. It's, I think that,
Yeah, these can't be, maybe. All right, that's where I am.
yeah, I'm not a designer, but this is kind of what, kind of the scale that Fast Sign kind of came up with as far as scaling the lettering, the numbers in the word into something this, that's this size. I mean, we can make
Well, it looks like they're the same size, it's just,
Yeah.
the black line is eliminated on the second.
Yeah, now that with more reflection, that's the way I see it now too, and I kinda like the one better now
Yeah,
anyways.
okay.
So, but that's where I am, I don't know where everybody else is.
Brenda?
Just curious, you're saying that the existing sign's not visible by the trees. Are the trees owned by Mercedes or by your,
They're actually on the property of 76 Cambridge Street, coming down that way. Coming from the town, going towards 128, the Mercedes sign potentially could block, could block the view of the, I didn't take that angle.
just curious, long-term lease with a single tenant?
Yes.
Except he said multiple tenants.
No, there will not be multiple tenants in
Well,
that zone.
right now there isn't, for
I
3,000 square
I
feet.
don't envision that ever happening. It's a small building. 10 parking, 9 parking spots. It's not one axis. It's not a building that you could envision multiple tenants in. It's just not practical. It's a very small building, single floor.
Seen some creative things. Okay, no, I don't have any more questions.
And the intent is not to make this literally a directory sign. I'm not sure what the rules are there. I know it's called a directory sign, because that's how it's referred to in the bylaws, but I think the goal is to make it just a street sign, not a.
How's that, Brenda?
Yes, thank you.
Mark?
I agree. I think that you've enhanced the aesthetics of the area. I think that the use of the sign is going to be helpful to people trying to locate that property. I think, if you have watched the change in that area, there's been a big change, and I think that delineating this, an actual, more or less an address rather than just seeing a white building there.
Right.
Has made it, it looked a little run down before, and it didn't really fit in that area. So I think the sign is gonna help for that area. And as far as the concepts, I'm in agreement with my colleagues that, concept 2 is probably the better idea.
Concept two?
Yeah, Yeah,
Is it concept,
I like concept
They
one.
like
concept one? Concept one.
I don't have a strong preference either way.
I think I'll go with my colleagues. Concept one.
Anything else, Mark? Jim, anything?
No, I think I'm all set.
All right, I'm pretty much in agreement with everyone. I think it can work in that location. I have a few questions which hopefully you can answer, so I think we might need it for a decision, but we'll see what everyone else thinks. You talked about the distance off the curb line and rough estimates about how far it is off the property line. Do you know exactly what that would be? Okay. I didn't see it. I might have missed it on the plan, but.
You're talking about the difference between the property line and the curb line?
Well, I mean, that we could do the math, yeah, but I'm more, because the variance is for the distance off the, so I'd like to, like, state a number that the variance is for this distance off the front lot line.
I see what you're saying.
You know, so I'd like to know what that number is.
So it would be off, so what we're proposing is 10 feet off the curb. And the lot line is 6 feet off the curb.
Okay, so it's
So therefore, it
4
would be
feet.
4 feet
Okay,
from the lot line.
okay. Is there any lighting associated with the sign?
No,
No, no lighting.
that's the current plan.
Okay. And do you know the material of the sign? What it's gonna be
Yeah,
made out of? Did I miss that too?
Yeah, it's a metal monument,
Okay.
wood laminate.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I missed that.
I'm sorry, I did have a question.
Go ahead.
So on this picture, you mentioned an island. So is the sign in the island, or is it
That's
on?
the proposal, yeah. That's the before picture.
Yeah,
That's before
If
the.
you look at, you actually see the rendering of the, go to,
this one?
yeah.
So you're eliminating the island? Is that,
No, it's going in the
I'm
island.
gonna put it in the island.
okay, in the island, all right.
I actually have one more question as well. In this picture that has, the sign does not screen a driver's view,
The driver's here, yeah?
there's a little light that has a 78 in there.
Oh,
Is that remaining, or is that?
that's something I just picked up from Amazon to help. But,
Got it.
yeah, no, that would come out.
Okay.
That's just a little,
All right, my only other question is, on the renderings here, just the concept plans. What's the overall height? I just want to be clear, just, is part of these, it says footings 4 feet into the ground, is everything shown there, is that all footings?
yeah, the footings would be, so the
So
footings.
the bottom of the sign will be flush with the ground, I guess is my question, or is it actually gonna be higher than 34 inches? I just wanna,
But, you know, so, well, the footings will be underground. This little slab here is a couple of inches. That'll be level with the mulch that's in the island.
okay,
And then the sign will sit on top of the slab,
All right,
this
so
little slab here. So the height will be 34
The
inches.
height will be
above-
34
Above the
inches.
grade of the mulch.
okay. All right, yeah, I mean, I don't personally have a problem with this. It seems like if that walkway wasn't there, you could probably abide by the 10-foot rule and
Exactly
be
right.
happy, and
Yeah.
everyone would be happy, and it wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense to really have to rework that walkway and your island that's there, which, in my opinion, is a good location for the sign. You're not right out on the street, like you say. It doesn't look like you're gonna be blocking the visibility for traffic, so I don't really have a problem with that. And I think, we just, condition this appropriately with the distance off the road, and I think that there'll be no lighting and the restrictions on the sign. I think, unless anyone else has any opinions.
I agree with that.
This is a public hearing, so I'm gonna open this up to the public, if anyone has any questions or comments on this proposal. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. All right, does anyone on the board have any other questions or comments before we hear a motion? No. Anyone like to make a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion to grant as requested on concept number 1. But I would like that caveat, of course, that they can't change the sign. No other signs on the building or anything, even if by right.
No lighting?
No lighting.
Okay, just,
Do we have the
no, I'm just,
dimensions or?
yeah, that's the problem. I'm looking
Yeah,
at this
because-
now. The dimensions on what looks like were filed were 4 feet by 4.58 feet, which this is smaller, so we can approve that. That's not a problem, but we just can't approve it as submitted. We should probably just approve it per concept plan 1.
Okay, then per concept number 1,
Okay.
whatever the verbiage needs to be, so.
Let's write this down. All right, we have a motion to approve the sign for 78 Cambridge Street as submitted per concept number 1 on plan submitted, no date. With the conditions that there will be no lighting for the sign and that no other signs are allowed even if by right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion-
Do we want to add no modifications to the sign, or the sign is printed as is, or is that understood?
Should probably put it in there. We'll add the condition that the sign, no modifications to this sign without further approval from the board. Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
The,
Check with them.
the next item on our agenda is the discussion on Avalon Bay. Is anyone here to speak on that? Come on up, let us, give us an overview of what you're looking to do, and
Might just peek over
I was
yours,
just
all
gonna
right?
say, you want to share? In front of his head.
Squeeze in here and chill with us, Mike? Sure.
if you could just introduce yourselves and give us an overview.
Good evening, my name is Bob Bouchin, Project Manager with Avalon Bay.
I'm Caitlin Marzano, I'm the community manager at Avalon Burlington.
My name is Dan Corbett, I'm the maintenance manager over at Avalon Burlington.
So originally, we approached the planning department as we're seeking to add 6 parking spaces to the community. And we were notified by, I believe it was by Josh, that we need actually to come here because it's a 40B community. And so we come here today seeking that approval to add 6 parking spaces to our community. Caitlin has some specific information about the number of apartments, parking spaces, et cetera, and how we're being impacted.
So basically, we have a total of 488 parking spots in existence right now. We have 493 cars registered to us, so that alone, you know, we have more need than we have supply in terms of the spots. In addition to that, people have folks that visit them, you know, so during the day, that may not be an issue, but after everybody's home from work, end of day, it becomes a real problem with guests visiting. But even, we've created a whole guest parking policy. We've tried to redirect guests to a specific area that has more availability, and even so, we're still having a lot of complaints from our residents that they can't find a parking spot anywhere near their building at times when they get home from work. So it's impacted our surveys. We survey our residents at move-in, mid-lease, and move-out. So we have a pretty good gauge on the things that impact our residents positively and negatively, and parking is one that comes up repeatedly as a negative, unfortunately. So what we'd like to do is add a few more spots. It's probably not going to remedy the situation completely, but every little bit should help. So that's really where we start.
I do have, I could pass on, you have a small site plan. You care to see that?
Sure.
Please.
Yeah, sure.
Show the location, okay, here's the site plan.
Yeah,
This is more specifically, we're gonna add 5 there, and then 1 at the end of the sign up right here. I've got a couple of pictures that show here around the circle, how it looks currently. That is this area we're hoping to have 5.
yeah, I can pass this out. Make sure Jim can see that as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Some are marked up, but I do have a larger plan, if you care to
I think,
see that as well, or?
I think we have a copy of that too, yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah, we'll ask you for it if we need it.
Sure, okay.
And one up there, so,
That's only gonna give us one.
right,
Just some pictures.
the one with 5 here and one up here.
So you're gonna be removing the storage container?
It's on, yeah.
That's gone.
What about any of the trees?
Okay.
Sorry?
Do you have to take any of those trees down?
No trees. No. Trees, drainage is in place, site lighting is adequate, so really the only impact is just, adding the spaces to the existing land on the, at the 80 gallons that are currently there.
That's a better picture to look at.
Okay,
See.
I just wanna comment before we take comments from the board. So, just so everyone, just to reiterate, we're taking a look at this and to determine whether we consider this an insignificant change or a significant change. If we determine that it's insignificant, then I believe you just file an altered plan so that we have it on record and you're all set to go. If we determine that it's significant, that doesn't mean that you can't do it, it just means you have to go through a more formal process of coming back to us with a formal submission, notifying abutters and all that. So that's just, so that you and the board, everyone is clear on what we're doing tonight. Jim, why don't we start with you? You have any questions or comments on this?
None other than, it doesn't seem like this would be a long-lasting fix, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, that's a comment I was gonna make as well, so we can bring that up a little bit more.
Sorry to
Go ahead.
Not so much of a longest, but any little bit helps. I mean, you get one person that moves out, a couple spots open up, and all of a sudden you get a little more parking. The main concern is we start to fill up, we get to 95, 96%. 2018, most people that have a couple cars in their families, and we just run out of parking spots. So any little bit really helps down in that area, especially where those spots would be. When you get to the front of the property, it's a little bit more opened up, but down into the back right there, off to the right of Building 14, and around that rotary, it's really compact, and even just a few spots here and there really does help out. You can tell when you get a couple people move out over there, you get less complaints. There's a little more room. I actually live at the property. I drive through, being the manager, a couple times a week at least to make sure everything's okay at night, or I'm taking my dog for a walk, and it's always definitely compact. You might see one car park up on the curb or something like that, or one car up on the grass, and I think with those 5, 6 spots, alleviate cars that aren't actually in spots, and like I said, like Caitlin said, that every little bit does help.
The buildings 11 through 16 are our tightest parking, like Dan said. That's where these spots would be going, sort of in the middle of all of those buildings. And the setup we have now is each of the apartments, not even in all of those buildings, but maybe, 4 of the buildings, we have 1 assigned spot per apartment home. And then if you have another vehicle, we have an overflow lot for all of those buildings, 11 through 16. So it's just not adequate. So adding it in that particular area is especially important, because that's the most impacted area that we have on the property. 6 is better than none. It's a good start anyway.
Anything else?
No?
Mark?
So how many spaces do you have over there?
488 currently.
How many?
488.
488?
Correct.
And you're trying to add 6?
We are.
I think that's insubstantial, so
It's less than 1%.
so that's my comment.
Brenda?
I don't think this is a significant change.
John?
Agree.
Michael?
I just have a quick question. The 6th spot, are you just cutting into an island to put that in?
That's correct.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
That was my only question.
All right, yeah, on the face of this, I don't think it's significant either. I do have a couple of questions. How many units are down in? 312. Okay. And you said this area is your tightest area, you just commented, I had,
Beyond building number 10, 11, when you get
Okay.
between 11 and building 16, that's a little bit more compact. That's the only, part we do have assigned. We have 1 assigned spot for the residents that are down there with, like Caitlin said, the overflow lot. So that's where every little bit helps out.
okay. And, you don't seem to get the complaints or the issues in the rest of the development, not as much, I guess?
Not
We
as,
do, but it's not as
not as often.
severe.
I mean, if you're looking at the farther north, towards the top of the property, you have, say, 3 buildings with parking spots. Now, say those buildings are all 100% filled, then you start getting some complaints for people having those spots. But for the most part, everybody does have a spot, and they're all, it's manageable up there. Down at the end, it's very tight.
So that's the reason you didn't look to like spread out the 6 spots?
Yeah, we were trying to accommodate where our tightest area
Yeah,
was.
okay. Joellen, just a question on, if we make a decision on this, it's still gonna be on the record as a decision, correct? Okay. All right, I guess just kind of leading to Jim's point on this is,
Is that Jim?
Jim, yeah.
Yeah, we got the signs back.
All right, that's
We can't make it easy for you. So just, this, if we approve this as an insignificant change, it will be on the record, and to his point, if, this doesn't necessarily satisfy it, if you came back in a couple of years and you wanted to add 6 more, and then if you want to add, so eventually it would be on the record, so it will be cumulative, in my opinion, and other people, if I'm not on the board anymore, might disagree with that, but, it would become, in my opinion, a breaking point where it's not significant anymore, and you would have to go in, I just want to make that comment to you, because I know how things go, and the more you see more people traveling, everyone's gonna want 2 cars, and everyone's gonna want 3 cars. And there's gonna be more parking issues, so down the road, that can be addressed. I believe this is insignificant for what it is, for the area that you have down there, and the number of parking spaces that you have existing. Adding 6 more doesn't seem, I hope it helps your problem, but, it seems pretty insignificant to me, so, unless anyone else, I guess we didn't really open up a public hearing on this, right?
Because it's not a real
Okay.
hearing, it's just a discussion.
Right, okay, so just take a motion to, Joel, I guess the wording would just be to consider this insignificant, right? Okay. If anyone would like to
Make
make
a
a motion.
motion that the addition of the 6 spaces is insubstantial.
Okay,
Engineering change.
okay. Okay, we'll call it a minor engineering change, because that's what the planning board calls it.
Yeah.
The motion is made that the minor engineering change for Avalon Bay is considered insubstantial by the board. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. You're all set. And
Do you want those back?
Joellen, do you know, or we've talked to maybe the planning staff of, we just want to make sure we get your plan on record with the town, make sure that that's official, so,
Talk to,
okay, so Joellen will coordinate. Yeah, yeah, so Joellen will coordinate with you in the plan department, making sure that, just that it's all on file, just to make sure we have all our Ts crossed and Is dotted. All right? Great. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Harold. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
let me just find out exactly what they're looking for.
Any comments on the minutes, or someone like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes of, what is it, November,
Which isn't gonna make anybody.
October
October.
2nd,
I have the wrong date on that.
2018?
So we need to adjust the minutes then.
I have to change it to, it was the 16th, and I have the 2nd, I think, on it.
Okay. So motion to amend.
Motion to amend the minutes to October 16th, is that? Okay. Second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes with the adjustment of the date to October 16th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Anyone, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.